Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. We have the next developer's blog here. This time head of the Nier scenario team, Mr. Wada, interviews a couple writers of the novel stories, the text-only stories. There is a freelancer, Ninomae Nikai, and an in-house writer, Harada-san. We met Harada-san in a livestream, and she is an odd one, and she is odd again here, insisting they call her Karin-sama, as one example. A good bit of this interview is more about the people than the game. I'll cut all of that out. The novel stories include like the event stories and the dark memory stories, which are text only. Similar stories appeared in Nier Replicant and Automata. The two writers enjoy these stories because it's a chance to go deeper into characters' personalities and histories. They both came onto the team during the Sun and the Moon period. Head writer Wada goes on to say that the costs of creating the 3D cage were very expensive, so they had little resources left over, which led them to the cost-efficient text-only stories. Creating 3D maps and the models of all of the different worlds, like the war-torn landscape of Griffin Lars and the futuristic world of 063Y and F66X, would be impossible, but in novel-like stories, they could do it. They said certain stories would not have been told without the format, like Hinan Yuzuki's Dark Memory stories, which highlight them battling the Region in the White Chlorination Syndrome timeline. They say it was probably a big surprise to hardcore Nier fans to get stories of that period. Next, they talk about the content and length guidelines of the different novel stories. The black bar reads from the left, scenario name, theme, narrator, and word count, chapter count. The first white entry is event story. These were like the seasonal or collaboration stories. The theme is, quote, not necessarily tied to the main story, unquote. The narrator is Mama, and the prescribed length is 4 parts, 600 words each. And I guess I should explain word count in Japanese. It's every individual unit, so 3 kanji would count as 3 words, just as 3 hiragana would count as 3 words. Below that is character story. We unlocked those by using a character enough times. The theme is, quote, supplementing the character's weapon stories, unquote. The narrator is the character itself, and the length is 4 parts, 200 words each. Then there are the secret stories, or hidden stories, as they were called in the English. The theme is, quote, change from the main story, unquote. There is no set narrator, and the lengths are first 4 parts with 1100 words each, then the remaining 6 parts with 400 words each. And there are the Dark Memory and Recollections of Dusk stories. Their themes are secret and conclusion, respectively, although I would say that the themes are more like origin of their sin and their absolution of their sin. I still need to make that video about sin in Nier games. I will do that someday. They say something interesting about the event stories. They had to make sure they could exist independent of the main story, and also not spoil any secrets of the main story. For those reasons, I actually personally paid the least attention to the event stories in-game, but the Hinan Yuzuki journal stories are basically that, and I'll keep translating those, link to that playlist below. But they say with those restrictions they came up with stories they wouldn't have otherwise. Regarding the word count, the writers wished they could have written more, but they had to be aware that with longer stories, that meant more costs in recording the voice acting, both in Japanese and other languages. There's this misconception that voice acting is cheap, but it is not, and they cut the English voice acting for the final arc, presumably to use that money for developing the cage and recording the Japanese voices. They also worried about losing the player's interest partway through, so they kept it shorter in the beginning, but like with the Recollections of Dusk in particular, they went longer, even up to 10,000 words, because they felt at that point the player base was used to reading longer stories. Then they talk about Lars' novel stories, which Karin-sama wrote. They show some of Lars' secret stories, and the stars mark what they call points of interest, and they aim to include one in every part to maintain the reader's interest. It doesn't have to be a major plot twist, it can be simply a beautiful scene or a moving scene. Next they talk about the process of writing the story, and they lay out the step-by-step here. 1. The writer creates a plot outline for their character. 2. The writing supervisor takes a look and gives feedback. 3. The writer makes edits. 4. Yoko Taro takes a look and gives feedback. 5. The writer makes edits again. 6. The writer writes the actual text of the story. 7. The writing supervisor takes a look and gives feedback. 8. The writer makes edits. 9. Yoko Taro takes a look and gives approval. And 10. The story is implemented into the game. So, a lot goes into the process, and once again we see Yoko Taro is very involved. They end with talking about their favorite stories that they wrote. Writer Nikai says the 063Y and F66X secret stories are his. They were released after it was revealed they were clones, so writer Nikai felt great freedom in diving into the depths of their characters. He even altered their personalities. In the main story, 063Y is the reliable father, and F66X is the kind mother, but in the secret stories they are very different, and they did that to show that even among clones there can be differences. Karin-sama's favorite story that she wrote was Fioiloquy at the end of the game, and I'll include that in full at the end of the video. This came just after the final battle, so the contrast was very strong, and the writer's aim was to get the point across that even if the game ends, the characters continue to pray for the players. It is also revealed that Karin-sama worked on the 15th anniversary special novel, Undecided Option, which I loved so much as a big fan of Nier Replicant. I'll link to my translation of that below. And head writer Wada reveals his favorite story that he wrote, Hina's Dark Memory story, link below to my translation of that too. He had this version of Hina in mind already when he created the high school version, he says. And that's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.
真っ白。ここには何にもない。上を見ても下を見てもぐるーっと見回しても真っ白。まるで深い雪の中に一りぼっちでいるみたい。きっとあの子が世界を真っ白にしちゃったんだ。あの子がそう願ったから、これから長い長い寂しい日が始まるんだね。ねえ、怪物さん、どこにいるの？私は何にもない道を歩く。ねえ、怪物さん、どこにいるの？歩いても歩いても誰もいない。怪物さんはどこにもいない。でもね、大丈夫だよ。今は寂しくてもいつか必ず会えるから。そう信じていれば一りぼっちになることなんてないんだよ。だから待っててね、怪物さん。ねえ、怪物さん、会いたいな。ねえ、私は。歩き続けてきっと長い長い時が過ぎた。私はもうわからない。どうして歩き続けているのだろう。でも行かなくちゃ。だって会いたいから。誰に？思い出せない。でもね、会いたいんだよ。絶対にまた会えるって信じてるんだよ。光が見えた。真っ白な世界に黒い光がポツンと。真っ黒な鎧のような体にへんてこな虫の羽。不思議な怪物が私の前に現れたんだ。どうしてかな。怖くなんかないのに。私はわけもわからず泣いてしまった。あなた誰？怪物さん？私がそう言うと 怪物さんは小さくうつむいた。その姿はなんだか寂しそうで、それから怪物さんは私に手を伸ばしていった。
俺はレバニアだ。でも怪物さんでいい。俺と一緒に旅をしよう。たくさん思い出を作ろう。
私は怪物さんと並んで歩いた。この世界には何にもないけれど、私の隣には怪物さんがいる。それだけで私はどこまでも旅を続けることができた。怪物さんは何も知らない私にいろんな人たちの物語を教えてくれた。それは勇気のある旅人さんと頼りになるお付きの人、妹思いで頑張り屋さんの狩人さん、強くて綺麗で優しい剣士さん、山が大好きで不器用なおじさん、愛情たっぷりな奥さんと旦那さん、仲間思いな軍人のお兄さんたち、大切な人のために世界を旅したお姉さん、一緒に成長した魔法使いの女の子たち、生まれた意味を全うしようとした二人の人工知能さん、笑顔を分け合った盗賊さんと占い師さん、家族のためにいっぱい頑張ったお姉さんと弟さん、そんなみんなのお話をたくさん怪物さんは教えてくれた。そうだ、そうだ。私は思い出した。私はみんなが生きた記憶を守りたいんだってことを、悲しくても苦しくても寂しくても忘れたくないことがあるんだってことを。光、私の目の前に白い光がどこまでも広がっている。私はいても立ってもいられなくなった。そして私は走る。怪物さんの手を引いて光の向こうまで走って走ってたどり着いた場所、そこにはみんながいた。一緒に歩いてくれるみんなが